Welcome back to our channel. Okay, so for today's concept is about completing the square. Okay, so we have an alternative method, a lot of alternative method in solving quadratic function or trinomials. Okay, yesterday on the first video from yesterday, I will also attach the link below in the description. We talk about the first method is about factoring because it is difficult to use the completing the square if you do not know the factoring method. So you need to learn first the concept, okay, about factoring method before you will use the completing the square. The question is, why is it we will going to use completing the square if we already know the factoring method? Okay, not at all times, not every trinomials or quadratic equation can be solved by factoring, especially if it has a numerical coefficient on the quadratic term. So that is why I am sharing also the different method or other methods on how to solve trinomials. But wait for the quick or easy way on how to solve it. I will also upload some videos about how to solve quadratic function in shortcut way or in an easiest way. Okay, but however, not at all times we can use that easy way because the easy way on how to solve quadratic equation or trinomials is with calculators like Desmos graphing calculators. If there's no available Desmos graphing calculator, especially during assessment or major exam, the completing the square, factoring, and quadratic formula is more applicable in solving them. So you need also to learn those different methods on how to solve trinomials. Okay? So for today, we're going to focus on completing the square. Let me share you here. Let me just put this one in here. So solving quadratic by completing the square. So I also attached the shortcut steps and also the another steps. So this is the easiest three steps one. Okay, the easiest one, we have first step, rearrange. Step two, the square of the b over 2. And then step 3, you will factor and solve. That is the shortcut steps in completing the square. And for me, I will suggest for you to see these detailed steps. Okay? Completing the square, solve quadratics or trinomials. For the step 1, if a is not equal to 1, divide the quadratic by a. So let us have first review the terms. This is the quadratic term, the linear term, and the constant term. It says in here, we'll divide if the numerical coefficient of the a is not equal to 1, we'll divide the quadratic by the numerical coefficient, which is the a. But since in here that the numerical coefficient of, you cannot see any number on the quadratic term, that means the numerical coefficient of the quadratic term is 1. If you cannot see any number, that means it is 1 in here. Phantom 1, 1 times x squared is x squared. That's why you are also allowed not to write 1 in here. Okay, so we'll skip step 1 because our quadratic, the numerical coefficient of the quadratic term is 1. So we'll skip step 1. Then we'll proceed on the step 2. For the step 2, write the quadratic in the form of a of the x squared plus px equals c. So we will move the constant on the other side to write that in that form. Okay, so let us write it. So we have x squared in here, x squared plus 2x. And then I am frequently writing a blank on both sides. Then you will discover why later. Okay, so we'll move negative 8, crossing the equal sign. So plus 8 on both sides, plus 8. So from negative 8, it will become a positive 8. So we'll have now positive 8 in here. And then, as I mentioned a while ago, whatever you do on the left side of the equation to make your equation balance, you will also do that one on the right side. Okay? To make all both sides equal and balanced. So I put a blank in here. I will also put another blank on the other side. Okay? Then after that, we'll proceed on the step 3. We're looking for the linear term, for the numerical coefficient of the linear term, and we're going to divide it by 2 and then square it. Okay, let me use the red marker in here. Okay, so for the linear term, the numerical coefficient of the linear term is 2. Okay, so therefore, if it is 2, that is the value of your b. Okay, so b is equal to 2. B is equal to 2. Therefore, we will use this formula. Okay, so we have b over 2, then square. We'll replace the b by 2 because b is equal to 2. So we'll substitute b into 2 over 2 square. So rules and math, PEMDAS will work first on parentheses before we apply the exponent. Okay, so 2 divide 2 will give you 1. Any number you divide by itself, the answer is 1. Then 1 squared. Then 1 squared, it means 1 times 1. It's not 1 times 2. Common mistake of my student, they multiply the exponent to the base. That is wrong. The small number is what we call the exponent. The big number is what we call base. So exponent tells us how many will multiply the base by itself. So we'll multiply the base, which is 1, twice. So we have now 1 times 1 is simply 1. Okay. So that is the number that we will add on both sides. So we have plus 1 and then plus 1 in here. Then next step, we are going to factor. Okay, as I mentioned, you need to learn first how to factor before you will use the completing the square. Equals 8 plus 1. Let us simplify this one on this side because this is the easiest one. 8 plus 1 is simply 9. How to factor means, okay, let us have a recap from yesterday. We may apply the FAF in here, factor the quadratic term, find the addends on the linear term, and then factor the constant term. Factor 1, what are the factors of 1 that if you multiply them, you'll get positive 1? So we have 1 and 1 in here. What are the addends of 2? When you add them, you will get 2. So 1 plus 1 is 2. What are the factors of x squared? So we have also x and x in here. Okay, how to factors? You will distribute. You will distribute those factors of x first. So we have x squared. We'll distribute them per group on each parenthesis. And then the perfect factor for the constant term is positive 1 and 1. And the perfect addends will satisfy the linear term is 1 and 1 also. So we'll write the first number in here, which is plus 1 and then plus 1. I know you are still confused. I can see it in your faces. So to avoid confusion, go back please on the video about factoring so that you will be more motivated to learn completing the square. Okay, because if you will not know how to factor, you will not understand completing the square. Okay, then after that, because we have x plus 1 times x plus 1 in here, we'll just simplify it, writing it in a shortcut way. So x plus 1, and then we'll just write square in here. Because x plus 1 times x plus 1, or the product of x plus 1 is also equal to the square of the quantity of x plus 1. And then equals 9. Okay, next step. Okay, we already factored the left side of the equation into a perfect square. Now we're going to square root both sides of the equation to solve for the x. To eliminate the square in here, we're going to square root both sides. Both sides. Okay, again, equal, balance. Whatever you do on the left side, you will do it also on the right side. Okay, to make it balanced, the square root of the square, you'll just cancel the square in here. It's still x plus 1. When you square root it, don't forget to eliminate the radicand symbol. This is a radicand symbol. Okay. Radical symbol, radical. Okay, what is the square root of 9? Let us have a recap on your previous math about radicals. What are all the perfect square root? Okay, let's start with 1. It is square root of 1. This is a positive and negative because 1 times 1 is 1, negative 1 times 1 is 1. And then we have also the square root of 4 will give you a 2, positive and negative 2. When you square root a number, you always have a 2 answer, possible answer, positive and negative. Next, we have for the positive and negative 3, we have the square root of 9. And then we have also for the positive and negative 4, we have the square root of 16. Those are all the perfect square root. and so on. So 5, we have positive and negative 5. We have 25 because positive 5 times positive 5 is 25. Negative 5 times negative 5 is also 25. We have also 36, square root of 36, square root of 49, square root of 81, square root of 100, square root of 1 to 1, and so on. So those are all the perfect square root. Okay? So in here, we already got the perfect square root of 9 is positive and negative 3. We'll simplify it. So square root of 9, we have positive and negative 3. Again, we have always two possible answers. The next step, we're going to move positive 1 on the other side to combine all the constant, similar terms, combining like terms. So now we bring down x and then equals. We have positive and negative 3. Since we're moving positive 1, crossing it on the equal sign, it will become negative 1. Okay? Then after that, to find the value of x, we will separate the positive 3 into negative 3. So we have two possible answers in here. Let me use the first one. We have x. We'll use the positive 3. 3 minus 1. Okay, then x is equal to, what is 3 minus 1? What is 3 minus 1? Again. Okay, good job. So for that, this is 4. See, another one. Very good. Okay, so 3 minus 1 is 2. And then for the second x-intercepts or roots, so we will use the negative 3 in here. So negative 3, we already used a while ago the positive 3. Now we will use the negative 3. Okay, what is negative 3 minus? What is negative 3 minus 1? Negative 3 minus 1 is? Good job. This is for you.
Wow, it's very nice.
Wow, it's a very nice. It's negative 4. Good job. Perfect. So those are what we call root solution. Let me just highlight this one because there is a huge difference between factors and roots, okay? So we call them as roots, or sometimes we call them zeros. Another term are solutions. And the last term is x-intercepts. So those are the terms that they use. The answers, it depends on the question. So don't get confused on that. The answer is, you may write your answer in the form of x is equal to 2 and x is equal to negative 4. Okay, you may also write your answer in different format. Let me just highlight this one first. Then let us highlight the box. So let us just highlight it so that you can see those answers correctly. There you go. So those are the roots. Okay, we may also write your answers in different format, like x is equal to. So it's up to you, or it depends sometimes on the questions, especially if the given is multiple choice. So the answer is positive 2 and negative 4. Don't forget the comma if you will use bracket in showing your answer. Or you may also use an ordered pair, like 2, 0, write those values of x first because those are x values, and then negative 4, 0. So those are the format that you may use in writing your answers. Next, what are the factors? What if they're asking you about the factors? So let us write the factors. There is a huge difference on that, so take note. So factors, what are all the factors? Let me use different fonts so that you can see their differences. In writing the factors, we're using a parentheses or groups. And those are the inverse or the opposite sign of the roots or zeros, okay? So in here we have x equals 2. So from positive, we'll use now negative. So we'll have x minus 2. And then the other factor is x equals negative 4. So we'll change that negative into positive. X plus 4. Please take note of this one. Don't get confused if they are asking you for a factors and x solutions, roots, or zeros. Those are different. Factors are different from those terms, okay? So let me highlight this one also. So it depends on the question during the assessment or during the test on how you will show or write your answer. There you go. So that is how we solve quadratics by completing the square. Okay, next step. I will move a little bit quick on the next example because we already have a detailed one on the first example. I'm sorry. Next example, we have x squared plus 6x plus 4. Again, okay, this is another reason why I still teach you the completing the square. Why not use only the factoring method? Because not at all times the given terms or the given trinomials are perfect factors, are easily to solve by factoring. Okay? Because not at all times you can get a perfect value for x, a whole number. No. Sometimes you may use a radical number, a decimal, or a fraction. So take note of that. So this is an example. Why did I teach you still the completing the square even though I already discussed the factoring method? Okay, but take note again and again. You must learn first the factoring before you will use this completing the square method. Okay, so let's proceed. This one is a little bit quick discussion for this one. So we have if a is not equal to 1, divide the quadratic by a. So a in here is not equal to 1. Yeah, it's equal to 1. I'm sorry. So we'll skip step 1. Can you show us another video that if a is not equal to 1? Yes, that will be the lesson for the next video, okay? Then we'll proceed on the step 2. Just wait for that next video. Write the quadratic in the form of x squared plus bx equals c. Okay, so we will rewrite it. So we have x squared in here, x squared plus 6x plus 6x. And then we'll throw lines on both sides. We'll move 4 on the other side. Don't forget that. Okay, from positive, we have now negative 4 and then another blank on the other side. Okay, to make our equation balance or equal. Next, we're going to focus on the linear term. Okay, for the linear term, let me just write linear term in here. LT stands for linear term. The linear term is 6. So we'll apply b squared. So we'll replace b into 6 over 2 and then squared it. So we're using this formula. Then we'll simplify first. Parentheses, work on parentheses first before exponent. PEMDAS. PEMDAS rule. What is PEMDAS? Parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Okay, 6 divide 2 is 3. And then let us simplify this one. Again, common mistake. Do not multiply 3 to the exponent. Do not multiply the base to the exponent. Why? Because you will get an incorrect answer. Exponent, the small number, tells you how many times you'll multiply the base, which is 3. So this one will become 3 times 3. Okay, 3 times 3. And then 3 multiplied by 3, you will get 9. Okay, and that 9 is the number that we will add on both sides of the equation. Plus 9 and then plus 9. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we have now a perfect square in here, and then we'll simplify the equation. I will teach you the technique. Okay, I'll teach you the technique in here. Miss, how can you find the perfect square? Okay, let us first, before I will tell you the secret or the technique in here, let us simplify this side first. 9 minus 4 is 5. Okay, so here's the technique. You will just distribute the x squared in here. The factor of the x squared is x and x. Okay, here's the technique so that I will not factor this one and find the perfect addends for this one. Here's the technique. Here's the secret. Listen. Okay, let me just highlight it. Whatever will be the number that you square is the number that you have in here, that you will write in here, the perfect factor. So in here, the number that we square is 3, okay? So that's it. So we will just add 3 on both sides. So we have plus 3 in here, and then another plus 3 in here. So that you will not think the perfect factor of the constant term and the addends of 6 that satisfy both linear term and constant term. No, just whatever will be the number that you square in here, that's the number that you will write in here. So that is the technique or the secret, okay, to make the completing square easier. Then we'll simplify this one. How many x plus 3 do we have? So we have 2x plus 3 in here. X plus 3, not 2. So x plus 3. Let me correct this one. It's 3, not 2. And then square because we have 2. Remember that exponent tells you how many you will multiply the base. The base is x plus 3. Then equals 5. See? Okay, then we'll proceed. We've done on the step 4. Now we'll go in the step 5. Square root both sides of the equation to solve the x. So we're going to square root both sides, square rooting both sides in here. We'll cancel the square in here. So the remaining answer we have now is x, it is a parenthesis, x plus 3 because we already canceled the square. And then square root of 5. Remember that when you square root, on the previous example, we have two possible answers, that is positive and negative. Okay, then we'll move the 3 on that side, combining like terms, the constant. So we'll just bring down x in here equals positive and negative square root of 5, square root of 5. Then change the sign. Don't forget it. From positive, it will become negative 3. So those are the answers. Okay, let me highlight this one. So we have roots or solutions. We call also them as zeros. Let me just write them. So for the answer, you may write your answer in two forms. Okay, so let me just specify them. For the answer on the first one, we'll use the positive square root of 5, x of 1. So we have the positive 5 minus 3. And the second one, so we'll use x of 2. We have negative square root of 5 minus 3. Miss, is that the simplest answer? Can we square root 5? Yes, you may square root 5 and your answer will be written in a decimal format. So if I were you in algebra, that's still an acceptable. Square root of 5, that's the simplest answer. So you may express your answer on that kind of answer in that format. Okay, we might also write our answer in the form of x is equal to, use a bracket again. You have square root of 5 minus 3. And also the other value of x, the comma, don't forget it. Negative square root of 5 minus 3. There you go. Okay, let us just highlight them for the roots. And also in here, say by the bell, we're almost done. Okay, let me just put this one behind it, and then so that you can see the differences. So there you go. So that is how we complete the square in solving trinomials or quadratic equations or functions. Okay, just let me know any concept that you still want to learn. But before that, as I believe, there is no learning in math without application of what you have learned. So please try, check your understanding about completing the square. So in here it says find the factors and roots. So you have two answers, the factors and roots. Those are different one. So of each quadratic by completing the square. Take note. Show your complete solutions. There are easy way shortcuts. I mean, especially nowadays we're on virtual learning. It is easily to use different apps to solve factoring, to solve quadratics or trinomials. Sometimes other students, they will just take a picture of that and photomat apps, but you will not learn if you will use those. Yes, you will learn a little bit, but there is more attention if you will answer it on your own manually. Okay, I will also teach you on how to use other method on next video. Okay, so let me know if you have question. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share also. LSS, like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so that's all for today. Enjoy while learning and see you again on the next video. Bye-bye.